and welcome to the South Asia Chart brought to you by the Institute of South Asian Studies at the National University of Singapore. I'm your host, Chulani Attanayaka, a research fellow at the Institute. I have with me today Mr. Niluka Kadurugamuwa, Deputy High Commissioner of Sri Lanka to India. India is Sri Lanka's closest neighbor. The two countries share century old historical and cultural ties, but they also have one of the most complicated diplomatic relationships. Despite its historical brotherhood, contemporary bilateral ties often go through numerous ups and downs. Moreover, there is immense potential that has not been exploited in this relationship. Recently, the Sri Lankan Diplomatic High Mission in India published an integrated country strategy for Sri Lanka Diplomatic Mission in India for the period of 2021 and 2023. The strategic document was drafted under the guidance and instruction of the High Commissioner designated of Sri Lanka to India, His Excellency Mr. Milinda Moragoda, and is envisaged as a roadmap for the next 2 years. This document aims to assist the three Sri Lanka missions in India in approaching and achieving goals and objectives stipulated as one country team. This is the first time, to my knowledge, that Sri Lanka has published a strategic document outlining the roadmap of any of its diplomatic mission. So today we have Mr. Kadurugamuwa to discuss this document and its content and what the country team expects to achieve from this roadmap. Welcome to our podcast, Mr. Kadurugamuwa.
Thank you very much, Cholani. Thank you very much for having me at this podcast from the Institute of South Asian Studies. It's an honor. Yes, thank you very much for having me today.
So let's start with what this document is. Can you let us know what led to preparing this roadmap and what was the process?
All right. This document is called the Integrated Strategy for Sri Lanka Missions in India. Integrated Country Strategy, rather. Integrated Country Strategy for Sri Lanka Diplomatic Missions in India for the period 2021 to 2023, for the next two years. Actually, if I talk about the origins of this document, when Mr. Milinda Moragoda, when he was appointed as the High Commissioner Designate of Sri Lanka to India, he had this idea of the idea that all three missions, in diplomatic missions in India, which are the High Commission of Sri Lanka in New Delhi, the Deputy High Commission of Sri Lanka in Chennai, and the Consulate General of Sri Lanka in Mumbai. All these three missions should work as one team and then deliver as one. And therefore, he thought that, okay, for these three missions to deliver together, there should be a roadmap. There should be a strategic paper to which we could adhere, and so that we can deliver as one. So the actual origin of this document is that concept, working the three Sri Lanka missions working as one team, one country team. The process of actually what happened was that in the beginning we started to develop this document in I think that was in around May this year. We did the first draft in Delhi with in consultation with all the diplomatic officers in all three missions. That is my colleagues in Delhi, and of course and then our colleagues in Chennai and Mumbai. So once this was the first draft was done, we came up with you have seen the document. We came up with objectives, and then there were like under every objective there were goals, and then there were objectives, and under every objective there were proposed activities to achieve these objectives. So we prepared the first draft, and then it was the High Commissioner designate went through it, and he further developed it, and then there was a consultation process. We that we gave it to a panel consisting of very eminent persons, former foreign secretaries, foreign service officers of Sri Lanka, then former foreign secretaries, and then of course the previous high commissioners of Sri Lanka to Delhi. So to all these, to this eminent panel we gave, they went through, they did made suggestions, and there were amendments. There was a lot of consultations back and forth, and after that we were able to come up with the final document. I must add that this is, of course, it's not the I mean, it is an evolving document. It will be evolving during. It is meant for the next 2 years as a kind of a roadmap. But then, of course, it is there's room for changes as and when we implement the activities proposed. We will be amending them and adding new features. Maybe leaving, omitting certain things as and when we implement them. So it is an evolving document, and it will be in the process of evolving. So this is the background of the paper.
Thank you for a very detailed explanation, Mr. Kadrugamu. So, I noticed that the document begins with an emphasis on Buddhism. How can both countries can revitalize their relationship using Buddhism and this common shared heritage and history? Because this is something we often emphasize in our discussions, but sometimes you feel that there's much more we can do in this regard.
Uh, Yes. Now, if you look at the document itself, the strategic paper itself, the country's integrated country strategy itself, it is based on the teachings of the Buddha. The philosophical base for the strategy is from Buddhism, in particularly the concept called Satara Samprada, or four accomplishments, which comprises Saddha, Sila, Chaga, and Panya, which in the modern context of international relations you can interpret them as trust, virtuous behavior, sacrifice, and thorough understanding, respectively. So these noble principles are pertinent in building trust and confidence between India and Sri Lanka. So the document itself is based on the teachings of the Buddha. Now, if you look at history, the linchpin of our relations has been Buddhism, and the Buddhism has been the greatest uh, gift that was given to Sri Lanka from India. The great ruler, Buddhist ruler, Emperor Ashoka, sent his both his son and daughter as emissaries to introduce Buddhism to Sri Lanka, as well as to propagate it. See, that is evident enough to the importance that the great emperor attached to Sri Lanka. So over the years, for more than 2 millennia, Buddhism has been the linchpin of our relations. And then, in the modern context, also we can use Buddhism to further develop our relations. Now, for example, the Buddhist links in Bihar, and also the Buddhist trail in Odisha. These thing, these relations, these trails can be used to promote people to people contact, and also the government of India recently gave a grant of $15 million to promote Buddhist ties between the two countries. So that is the importance that is the present Indian government is attaching to the to this aspect. Um, and also, if you go through the if you look at the country strategy, you can see that there are many activities that we have proposed to develop relations through Buddhism. But of course, not only Buddhism, but also if you look at the paper, you can see that we are trying to promote people to people contact, relations between the two countries, also through Hinduism and Christianity. So it is based on Buddhism, but Buddhism plays a key role. But not only Buddhism, but the other religions are also playing a very important role in this paper and in our relations.
Um, I think in historically Buddhism and Hinduism both came to Sri Lanka from India, so it is only logical for Sri Lanka to emphasize on this relationship in promoting our contacts between people from both countries. Now, our bilateral relationship is described to be increasingly dominated by a transactional approach. So, despite a growing trust deficit between the two countries, how Sri Lanka can capitalize on the transactional aspect of this relationship?
Yes, this the transactional aspect can be channeled towards building confidence between the two countries. As you are aware that there is a trust deficit which is addressed in the strategic paper itself. That there's a trust deficit that has been growing between the two countries in view of the changes in geopolitical equilibrium. But you see that you can use this transactional aspect to for as a confidence building measure. So you see the transactions can be CBMs. You have to have a step by step process. You cannot see that if there's a trust deficit, the first thing that you must do is to build confidence. So there must be confidence building measures or CBMs, as you say. These transactions are good confidence building measures. So once you do one by one, then of course when the trust is built, when the confidence is rebuilt, then of course it's very easy to conduct relations. Now, for example, you see that now we have investments in the port development. The West Container Terminal is being looked at for Indian investments, and then we are also looking at energy sector projects, a cooperation including the joint development of the Trincomalee oil tank farm, and then of course renewable energy projects including solar and LNG. See that there was this project for coal power in eastern Sri Lanka in Sampur, but then that we have made a policy decision that coal will not be used for energy generation, power generation in future. So what we are going to do is that to convert them into renewable energy sources, renewable energy plants. So these are some of the transactions that could build trust between the two countries. So once the trust is built through these CBMs, then it would be easy to conduct relations.
Mr. Kadurugamuwa, now you basically mentioned a little bit about the investment and that aspect of transactional relationship two countries have. Let me prod a little bit more into this. Um, yes, there are many areas in which India and Sri Lanka have trade and investment related relationship. Um, our president at Gotabaya Rajapaksa's government's foreign policy looks at foreign investment to revitalize the economy and this is considered as a cornerstone of this government's foreign policy. What are the other ways in which Colombo can increase Indian investment in Sri Lanka, and how Sri Lanka can expand its market share in India?
Well, foreign direct investments are the cornerstone of our economy. We need investments, and it's a very important aspect. And if you are talking about investments, Indian investments are extremely important. For the moment, India is among the first five top investors in Sri Lanka. So see, there are many large investments already there. In energy sector, you have Indian oil companies there, and then this the ITC hotel and apartments. They are coming up with an iconic building. It's a huge investment of several $100 million. It's coming up in the seafront in Golfes Green, in front of Golfes Green, this iconic building of ITC. So it's an Indian investment, and also India has considerably invested in the property sector, and also the Adani Group is going to invest in the West Container Terminal in the Colombo South Port. Uh, and one other very important investment which is currently has been done is by HCL on its information and communication technology field. So they have completed 1 year in Sri Lanka and with 1,000 employees. And next 5 years, they are going to increase the workforce to 5,000. So India has already heavily invested, and we have to have more Indian investments in Sri Lanka. The business is going on, but you have to have more business, more investments. Uh, See that if you look at the strategic paper, we have come up with several activities. We have proposed several activities, many activities to increase the investments, and also to increase our market share in India. One of the most important aspect of investment is that we have proposed, and we are pursuing, that we seek for high net worth investors and leading corporates, and to invite them to invest in Sri Lanka through a targeted and focused investment promotion strategy. So it is way of you are targeting high net worth investors. So and that would be more beneficial. And also, we have plans to increase exports from Sri Lanka and to expand Sri Lanka's market share in India through specific identified areas such as spices and concentrates, processed food, printing and packaging, coconut related products, ceramic and porcelain items, electrical machinery and equipment, and of course, tea and apparel. So through these means, we are trying to share our identified areas. We are trying to expand our market in India. Uh, but investments are important, as you say, very important, and we are pursuing that very thoroughly.
Yes, thank you very much for that explanation, Mr. Kadrugamuwa. I think another very important aspect of bilateral relationship between India and Sri Lanka is defense and strategic cooperation. In this region, Sri Lanka has the strongest defense ties with India. Our military gets trained in India, and we share intelligence. Um, so, in this context, and within the context of growing strategic relevance of the Indian Ocean and Indo-Pacific region, what more Sri Lanka and India can do to deepen the maritime strategic ties between the two countries?
Well, Sri Lanka and India have always enjoyed very, very strong and close defense and security cooperation. And if you are looking at the training opportunities, you spoke about training opportunities. The largest share of training opportunities provided by India, government of India, is provided to Sri Lanka. At any given time, we have 800 to 1,000 military students in India, from all three forces. And you know that we have our trilateral NSA level maritime security dialogue with India, Sri Lanka, and Maldives, and the secretariat is located in Sri Lanka. So we are already cooperating in this sector. What we have proposed in our strategic paper is to work towards mechanisms, to development of mechanisms that enhance political level strategic cooperation in the fields of defense and security. We have this tactical level, we have force to force, at the military level, cooperation. So what we are suggesting is that to seek ways and means to develop mechanisms that enhance political level strategic cooperation. So in this regard, we have, we, we, we have proposed to facilitate bilateral joint military exercises, study tours, and increased high-level military exchanges. And also, we are seeking for additional training opportunities for Sri Lankan defense personnel in India. So these are some of the steps that we are planning to take, and which are being taken, and we are planning to take to enhance our security cooperation.
Right. Mr. Kadrugamu, I think everything you described, explained so far is very positive towards a very thriving relationship for the future. But we know that there are some fundamental issues that always hinders the progress of bilateral relationship, such as differing perspectives on the 13th Amendment to the Constitution in Sri Lanka as a means of resolving Colombo's ethnic issues, and constant Indian fishermen encroaching Sri Lankan border. These are some of the fundamental issues that always comes into discussion when we are discussing the progress of bilateral relationship. Without addressing them, do you think the relationship can be brought to the next level? And how do you propose to resolve these issues?
See this, yes, this 13th amendment, this, yes, amendment to the constitution, and these those issues are playing a pivotal role in the relationship. Yes, as you say, these are fundamental issues that are being discussed in the relationship. So you can't say that they hinder, but of course they play a major role. I mean, yes, it is there. See this 13th amendment issue, that there is a process and discussion underway in Sri Lanka with regard to this important issue. A constitutional reform process has been initiated, and a committee has been set up by His Excellency the President to look into this matter. So, in a democracy, it is important to build consensus. See that consensus has to be built. So, and in that way, you have to address the issues. So the issue is being addressed. So it is there. Of course, it is an important aspect of the relationship, but it is being addressed. But most important thing is, in democracies, you have to build consensus and then come up with solutions. Now, fishermen issue, of course, yes, it is there. It is also being addressed. See, the fishermen issue. Yes, true that Indian fishermen, transgress to Sri Lankan waters. That happens quite often, as you have seen in newspapers. We have always seen that, and also occasionally our fishermen also, venture into Indian waters. See, now fish don't know the physical maritime borders, and so do the fishermen. There's no physical boundary between the two countries, so it's only natural that they venture into each other's waters. But successive governments have been trying to manage this situation over the years. See, if you asking me how to resolve this these issues, the resolving is I think it's not that easy, but you have to manage the situation. You have to find a permanent solution for this. Now, for this, while patrolling our boundaries, maritime boundaries, both India and Sri Lanka, it's being patrolled, policed, and in the meantime, we have set up bilateral mechanisms, official at official level, fisheries ministers level, fisheries officials level, and also at fisheries cooperative levels. There is a mechanism. There are consultations going on. Discussions are going on. So we have to work together to find a solution, permanent solution. So until such time, what we can do is to manage the situation, by patrolling, controlling the situation. But it is important that we have to we find a permanent solution for this. And also it's important that we have to keep in mind the fact that we have to deal with this issue with a humanitarian touch, because these are people, their livelihoods we are talking about.
I think that is true. It's both these issues are very complicated issues and definitely complicates the relationship. Another aspect that complicates India-Sri Lanka relationship is Sri Lanka's proximity to China. So the popular discourse is that this proximity has strained Sri Lanka's relationship with New Delhi. S- Um, your mission and this strategic document, how do you propose to handle this situation? How best can the mission strategic framework be used to overcome this hurdle?
Let me answer that question in another way. You see that the link between Sri Lanka and India is a civilizational one. For thousands of years, we have been, we have been linked. Our relations are thousands of years old. People to people contacts, and culture, everything we share. It's common. It's a civilizational link. And I don't think any country outside the region can influence this strong, unbreakable, and important civilizational link. Naturally, there are ups and downs in our relations. We are two democracies. There can be misunderstandings at some times, but these are just short term ones. And drawbacks could only be temporary. There are in between any two neighbors, there can be ups and downs. You see, it's real politic, but these drawbacks are just temporary. So see that the whole point of the purpose and objective of this country strategy to contribute towards continually maintaining the momentum of our partnership, of the existing Indo-Lanka relations, and to elevate that partnership to the level of a special relationship. So in that context, we are aspiring to a very special one, a very special relationship in future. So I I emphasize that India Sri Lanka relations are quite strong. It's because it's civilizational. It's a civilizational link. It's unbreakable. It's unbreakable. So to your the answer to your question is that whatever the drawbacks are there, whatever hindrances there are, contentious points, still this is a very strong relationship.
Yes, Mr. Kadrugamu, I think you emphasized something very important. Sri Lanka and India's relationship is civilizational, and India is Sri Lanka's closest neighbor. And when the two neighbors are staying so close and the cultural ties are strong, they have so much in common. Obviously, there are instances where the relationship can have a lot of ups and downs, and that's what I think India Sri Lanka relationship has been experiencing for a long period of time. And as you rightly mentioned, every time the two countries have overcome these challenges quite successfully. So, on that note, thank you very much, Mr. Kadrugamu, for joining us today to share your thoughts and discuss this report with us.
Thank you very much, Ulani, for having me today. It was an honor and a privilege to have been part of this podcast by the Institute of South Asian Studies in Singapore. Thank you very much.
Dear listeners, we hope you have enjoyed this session. If you are interested to learn more about our analysis and our work, please visit our website isas.nus.edu.sg. Thank you.